Hello everyone! Now, I recently posted that I was going to start doing videos talking about my history, where I've come from, what I've gone through. That is a lot to cover. This is probably going to offend people. Oh well, that's fine. This is how many fucks I have to give about that. None. But I'm gonna leave names out of these stories just to protect the identity of people who may or may not be happy about me doing these videos talking about information that they will not agree with being out there. So I am 31 years old and I am a single mom of 3 kids. I have a cat. His name is Bandit because he stole my heart. Alright, so I'm 31 and I am the second oldest out of 9 siblings. The oldest daughter or girl, and my childhood was rough on all scales, all levels, but I am not a victim of my past. I like to think that I am the product of something beautiful that has come out of tragedy. Life doesn't have to be a tragedy. Could always make it a comedy. All goes hand in hand. So I am a single mom of 3 kids. I love my kids. They're my life. They're my everything. I wouldn't change it for the world. They're amazing humans. And you'll see little glimpses and bits and pieces of them on my social media, but I'm not gonna bring them on until they start getting older and understanding social media and what they're getting themselves into. I think it can be really unfair to put your children on social media without them even knowing what's going on, because they could grow up someday and see what you put out there, and maybe it's something that they may not want out there. I've thought about putting my son's tantrums out there or their silly fits, and then I think about it and I'm like, but is this something that they'd want to see when they're 20, 30, so on and so forth? So I take that into consideration and I try to keep everything in a very positive light with them, also while trying to keep it real. It's a gray area to try to be real and yet sensitive at the same time. But back to my history. I was born and raised in Wisconsin, and my father was the leader of a Christian organization. I refer to it as a cult, not an occult, but a cult, C-U-L-T. Many people would disagree, but it is the definition of cult if you look it up. He was the leader of this ministry, and it was, from my memory, it was about 5 guys and 5 women. Some men and women came and went. Who knows the dramas with all that? I'm sure it was all very dramaful. There was a lot of drama with all of it. The whole thing was all around drama and healing people and saving people and bringing them to Christ. What has this resulted in? Not the best of things down the road. We'll get into that another time. So in this cult, we lived on a farm that was pretty much as off-grid as you can get. A lot of ministries came together, and again, names and organizations, names will stay out of this, came together and helped kind of rehabilitate this farmhouse. This farmhouse had 2 upstairs. So my mom and dad and us kids were in one upstairs, and then the 5, sometimes 6 men that lived with us were in a different section of the house. It was great. It had its good things. I learned how to milk cows. I learned how to raise animals. The hard thing about growing up in a ministry with having kids is my parents had an abundance of kids, and I personally feel like they didn't really know what they were getting themselves into bringing in 9 individual souls. There just was not enough attention to go around while trying to run this ministry and then going through pregnancies, and there was just neglect across the board. It was poorly managed. The neglect went so deep with the kids. Me personally, when I was born with a defect called an omphalocele. The omphalocele basically meant my organs were on the outside of my body, and that was really scary for my parents. So in Christian world, this got super hyped up. Everybody pray for my baby. The doctors want to abort my child. We're gonna keep this child and have God deal with it. It was super hyped up. There was multiple churches involved with praying for my existence to come to pass. It was huge. It was huge because the doctors did say that I wasn't supposed to live, and the doctors didn't really know what they were doing when I was born. From what I was told, that when I was born, the surgery was slightly experimental. The hospital, and now this is what was claimed, I haven't looked for any proof of this, but what I was repeatedly told is the hospital actually paid for my birthing expenses in exchange for research. My parents took that deal because it was going to be an expensive birth. There was extensive surgery involved. I had my liver on the outside. I do not have a belly button as a result of this. And it was huge that I lived because my parents were told I was supposed to die, that I would be brain damaged, that I wouldn't live a normal life, that I wouldn't have kids. And lo and behold, here I am, single parent of 3 kids, making YouTube and TikTok videos. So doctors miscalculated that judgment. And in the Christian world though, when I lived, that was like super huge. And for me, that was super annoying. New to this world, I was paraded around as like this miracle child. Oh my God, this is our miracle child. In the long run, that was ultimately super damaging to my brain. This is why. When I was growing up, there was so much emphasis on the fact that I was a miracle child, that people were like, you're gonna be something amazing. God has this great plan for you. You're gonna change the world. And as a kid, hearing that over and over and over, it gave me so much anxiety to basically perform. So whenever someone brought up, oh my God, is this the miracle child? And my dad and mom paraded me around church, I was terrified, like, yeah, whatever that means, that's me. What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to dance like a monkey? No. Like, then as I was growing up, everything I did was kind of either really focused on, while other parts of me was super neglected. I really liked the piano, and I started playing on the piano, I think when I was like 3 or 4 years old. And that was like super overemphasized, and they got me piano lessons, and they just were really hard on me to like learn piano and be the miracle child and just be this huge, like, you're the miracle child, you're gonna be amazing. And me, I just wanted to have fun. I liked making music. That's what I knew. I was scared that I was never performing enough, or I wasn't good enough. And a huge issue with piano is no matter how many different teachers my parents got me, and I had several piano teachers, I couldn't read music. I still can't read music to this day. I don't know what it is. I'm not stupid. I can play piano just fine, but I cannot connect what I see on paper to my fingers on the keyboard. But I had to teach myself differently. I didn't learn the way people expected me to learn. I learned by repetitive motion, I learned through pattern recognition, and I learned through sound. So people would be like, oh, so you play by ear. And it's like, kind of, sort of, not really. I play by ear plus pattern and repetition. No one paid attention to that part. So I actually had a piano teacher that would slap my hands if I didn't play correctly, and that didn't help either. And the fact that that was even going on, that there was a music teacher who was teaching me inappropriately, that got neglected. That got ignored because I'm the miracle child. I need to just hammer through this and become a great legend on this planet and leave God's mark for everybody. I'm no longer a Christian. I don't disrespect Christianity. I don't agree with it. I don't like what it's done to me. I don't like what it's done to other people. And that's a whole nother topic, but I'm no longer a Christian. I do not believe in your typical God and Jesus and all of that. I don't, no, it's just no, okay? So if you have an issue with that, and you have an issue with me because of that, now would be a good time to stop this video. Anywho, as I was becoming an adult, I started getting older and I got married. You know, I'm divorced now, but I got married, I graduated college, and again, everybody was like, become a rock star. So I went to a music school and they're like, be a rock star, do something with your voice, you know, like, be the miracle we know what you're supposed to be. I just want to be myself, and I never felt like I had a chance to find out who I am because I was just kind of like being hyped up and bullied into what everybody else thought I should be. So I did it. I went to music school and I had an awful time. And then I got married and the marriage was just not what marriage is supposed to be. And then I had kids, and now I'm a single parent of 3 kids, you know, so like I went through life the way everybody else told me I should because I'm this miracle child. I'm supposed to represent God and do all these things. And I was miserable. I was so depressed. I was so sad. I was so suicidal because like I'd sit there and it's like, why can't me just wanting to be me be enough? Like, why do I need to be this extravagant legend? Why do I need to be like the next Mozart? Why do I have to be this incredibly like talented human being who has this great purpose? Like, why can't my great purpose just be a mom? That's not out of the realm of possible. Mothers literally are the reason the planet and life keeps going. And so I started to feel really like lost and hopeless because what I was doing just wasn't enough, or people just didn't feel like that was miracle or spectacular enough for God. So then I tried the worship leader thing along the way, and I tried the singing thing, and I used to play worship sets, and I really went as hard as I could. But the key thing that was missing this whole time, because of this whole miracle child status and everything that the cult pumped into my head, was I never got to find out what I liked, what I genuinely wanted to do. I never found out what actually made me happy. So here I am, 31 years of life, and it wasn't until like maybe 29, 30 that I just started sitting down and going, what does, dumpster diamond like? What makes me happy? Just like hush all the voices, hush everybody that had these really ridiculous expectations over your life, over an event I had no control over. Like, I didn't control the fact that I had an invalid seal. It wasn't my fault that my parents went to all these different churches and hyped up the situation. And then let's add the other siblings into that. I don't know what my other siblings think about the situation. We never really sit down and talk about this stuff. I don't know if we ever will, but I could sense and feel like a lot of jealousy, like, because there was a tension that I did get that they did not get. Especially us older ones who witnessed me being paraded around, my mom and dad talking about my story, and it really kind of invalidated their life as well. Like, look, they didn't have this crazy birth, so why do they matter? And I could imagine that was painful for them to go through. So now I have my siblings upset with me for things that I did not do. Whether they recognize it or not, I'm kind of like a target of their anger, their jealousy, their hurt, and they're getting neglected as well. In the ministry, my mom continued to have 9, but I'm pretty sure it started when there was about 4 or 5 of us, maybe even 6 kids. Literally, we're not taught simple things. Like, this is an awful story, so trigger alert. If you have issues with abuse or can't handle hearing about it, please, now would be a time to end this video or skip the next few minutes. But I remember there was some major person over. They were like a missionary or something, and they were over for dinner, and we had big dinners. We had to put like 2 tables together and sit everybody around the table for dinner. And I was sitting across from this person. I'm sure I was sitting there because my dad had to parade my story once again in front of them. I spilled my milk. I did. I got anxious. I got excited. I didn't, and my anxiety to this day kind of ruins my life. Not ruins it, I'm still learning to overcome it, but it really destroys opportunities just because I freeze up, or I talk too much, or I say the wrong things. Anxiety is just a huge thing that I struggle with daily, hourly, minutely, if that's a thing. So I got anxiety because this lady was sitting across from me, and I spilled my milk. I downed the table at the head, and I was sitting here, and my father was up here, and there was a bunch of people around. Saw me spill my milk, and he just starts yelling at me, "Pick up your milk, clean it up, clean it up," and I froze. Not because I didn't want to. My brain had a blank. I didn't know how to clean up spilled milk. I didn't know where towels were. I didn't know that you needed a towel. I was literally looking at the spill in my head what do I do? When they had that many kids in this, again, without thinking about the consequences, we didn't get taught simple basic shit like that. Like, how do you clean up milk? How do you wipe your ass? I never remember being taught how to brush my teeth. I had to learn from an outside source from the family that, you need to brush your teeth. I remember being yelled at, brush your teeth every night, but never actually being shown how to brush my teeth. So they just missed a lot of the small bits of attention you need to give your children to just make them successful humans when it came to self-care, cleaning, and all of that. My parents completely missed the mark on that. So I didn't clean up my milk, not because I didn't want to. Frozen anxiety. I remember my dad came behind me, he grabbed me by my neck, picked me up and took me out, and I basically got a spanking of a lifetime. He hit me so hard. I bruised, I bled, I had a hard time sitting down through the rest of the dinner. And that was stuff like that that's just completely uncalled for and wrong. That was a beating. I was bleeding. I couldn't walk. I couldn't sit. I was forced to anyways. And then I couldn't cry. And then you get yelled at, don't cry! All over spilled milk. And the reason that was so harsh is because me spilling my milk embarrassed my father, who has an extremely large and sensitive ego. Just a small disclosure, I don't have contact with either of my parents. I am now on a journey of life where I'm recovering from this very traumatic childhood that I'm constantly told wasn't traumatic. And professionals have told me other otherwise. If you're somebody who struggles with anxiety, depression, and any kind of other disorders, please seek professional help. Having good friends and family is really important in your life. And if your family and your friends are not good for you, it is okay to cut them off for the betterment of yourself.